this is our last session together. We have intentionally stretched the discussion on Kant because we wanted to give it a bit more attention than was required. We could have done it in just a lecture, but we have used substantively, today included, about 3 weeks to do Kant, even though before we even started doing Kant, we had referenced him a lot, all because I believe that that material is a bit abstract, but the guy is making fine arguments that will help your enlightenment on the rationalism, empiricism contention, and more importantly, the place of epistemology, the question of knowledge at all, that we may know anything at all in this, whether in medicine or religion or, all the versions of knowledge you can think of, health. These discussions have implication on that. Okay, so we are giving some time to Kant, and so I'll be repeating a lot of the things only for emphasis and to make up for those who may have missed previous sessions. So if you look at your page 198, and I'm using the original paging, which is titled The Problem of Certainty. We did a read and a discussion of that page together in class. You may now turn to the next page, and the title at the top is The Problem of Certainty. That's page 199. But then we see Kant and Hume, and you recall how Kant is reacting to logical positivists and Humean skepticism, cum phenomenalism. See, at this stage, I presume you know what those terms mean. And so you shouldn't be, I shouldn't spend too much time explaining, unless you have a question. So I'll give permission for you to ask a question if you have one. On Kant and Hume, what instigated Kant's reflection at all? The hands I see are 6 currently, and they all want to read. So if you have a question on Kant and how he's reacting to Hume, in other words, what it is about Hume that Kant is reacting to after your read last 2 weeks and last week. If you want to ask a question on that, I'm giving you the opportunity. I'll see you if you raise your hand now. Okay, so Hume's phenomenalism and skepticism, we presume, is relatively clearer to most of you. Okay, now, so we see some instances of synthetic truth that are known with a priori certainty according to Kant, contrary to what Hume thought, that if a claim has synthetic nature, what he called matter is a matter of fact, then it shouldn't have a priori certainty. But Kant thinks that assumption may be the reason why Hume arrived at what? The skeptical position he had reached about a priori concepts like causality and substance, etc. Because Hume needed to see them, to experience them before he can accept them as knowledge. Remember, he's an empiricist and a strict one at that. So he sought for such a priori, a posteriori concept, a priori concept in experience that we can find on page this. So we'll go ahead and come back and look at ahead because that is where we should continue from, but I want to help you fill in the gap. So Salma wants to read for us. Salma, you will go to page 209 and then you read a paragraph that Kant goes on immediately to contrast. And let's see what the contrast is with his and Hume first, and then with his and Locke. Go ahead.
Madam, 209.
Yes, page 209. Kant goes on immediately. Read from there. I want my special students to benefit as well. Go ahead.
Okay. Kant goes on immediately to contrast his own theory of knowledge with that of his empiricist predecessors, Locke and Hume, and to show where they went wrong. Locke correctly recognized the existence of pure, necessary, and universal concepts, but mistakenly sought them from sense experience, and at the same time applied them beyond sense experience. For example, every event must have a cause, and God, a transcendent being, is the cause of the world. Hume, on the other hand, correctly saw that such concepts, necessary and universal, could not be derived from sense experience, and so mistakenly denies that they are, after all, necessary and universal. Now, says Kant, neither Locke's extravagance nor Hume's skepticism squares with epistemological facts the grievances of synthetic a priori knowledge, whereas his own theory does account for the fact by steering a middle course between the false alternatives of his misguided predecessors.
Well done.
Locke,
Hold on, please. Please hold on. It's very well done. That is the commentary by the author. The others are extracts. So you are going to read things that he, the commenter, has summarized into the passage you just read. Okay. So I want to help everyone. Now, Salma read the whole thing. I want Chanel to take them one after the other. Thank you, my lady. I'll mute your thing. There's a little bit of noise at the background. So I will let Chanel read. And then when she reads a line, then I'll explain. Because it is here that you see what Kant has done differently from Hume. I'm sure I would have said this over and over again, but I like to repeat content which seems, no. I still hear chuku 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 at the background. I don't know where it's coming from. So let me see. Now I'm Leila. Unmute and read it, to read it. Let me see if I still have that. Then there's a fundamental problem somewhere.
Hello, madam.
Yeah,
Please, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. Okay, so ladies, please let me take now. Okay, because of the special students, I like it when something is a bit heavy to come out very clearly if we have to communicate that. So now please read again what your colleague read nicely. Read from Kant, but when you read a statement, I will explain. Okay, read a statement and I'll explain. What are we trying to do? We want to see what Kant has done differently from Hume and Locke, and which he thinks his way of, defining synthetic a priori truth, that's better than how Locke and Hume did it, and how therefore he's able to redeem a priori concepts from the epistemological clutches of Hume and his cohort. You see that some concepts had been rendered meaningless and therefore useless, and that had implications on what at all we can know, and therefore the implications there will be a ripple down effect to even morality. On what basis do we run a justice system? When there is no way of establishing rightness and wrongness objectively, they have all been thrown out as cognitively meaningless. It means we are just using our approval or disapproval or otherwise to run society. There is no objectivity to it. It doesn't have a priori certainty. It is dependent on who is speaking, says these people. You see, that's the serious problem that had gone on, that Kant says, no, there is something wrong with the way these people are thinking. They may be right to an extent, but some of the things they are saying is not right. And it is leading to, it is having repercussions that could be dangerous. Okay, so we want to see what it is that Kant saw. But let's go ahead now.
Yes, please. So Kant goes on immediately to contrast his own theory of knowledge with that of his empiricist predecessors, Locke and Hume, and to show where they went wrong. Locke correctly recognized the existence of pure, that is, necessary and universal concepts, but mistakenly sought them for sense experience, and
hold on,
at the same time,
please hold on there. So Kant is marking his predecessors. Both of them were empiricists. Locke and Hume were empiricists. That simply means they source for knowledge from experience. I'm sure I would have said that last week. Okay. They thought that the basis of knowledge, anything we know, knowledge, would ultimately have been sourced from the five senses, experience. It won't come from anywhere. All knowledge, that's the empiricist position, is ultimately sourced based on what experience. I may recollect, I may use my intellect to apply something. I may see the principle of contradiction. I may say that, oh, you can't say I'm here and I'm not here. at the same time and in the same respect. So I'm applying what? Analysis, analytic thought, the law of identity, the principle of non-contradiction, everything. They don't depend on observation, okay? But the empiricist says the original idea that led me to apply such intellectual concepts, the original idea is put there by the senses. It was never ever there by its own. It is the senses that put the idea of identity, non-contradiction, etc., the meaning of bachelor, everything. The senses put it there. So if I bring it out, it is not anything that is coming from mind by itself, says the empiricist. See that? So Locke and Hume, being empiricists, sought for everything that you claim to know should be sourced from experience. Now, in doing that, so we take Locke first, because Locke came, then Hume was after him. Okay, like Nanado, then John Mahama, then you see now that Locke inherited everything he knew in epistemology, the theory of knowledge, from his predecessor, who wasn't empiricist, like wasn't NDC, but was rather MPP. Let's use that for easy access, okay? He inherited every idea he had from Descartes, who was rationalist, including epistemological dualism, that there are two ultimate realities. He took everything wholesale. So he accepts, this is John Locke now, accepts that there are substances, two. What are the two substances? I want a chorus answer. What are the two substances that there are, according to Descartes, which Locke inherited? Hey, Inyano, I'm going to run out again. Very good. So there are two substances. The substances are mind and body. How did Descartes arrive at these two, which Locke inherited? Descartes says, if I am thinking, then it tells me that there is something that does the thinking. What Descartes knows from I think, therefore I am, is actually the thinking process, the consciousness, the state of being. I am doubting, affirming, denying. If I'm going through this mental state, what Hume calls the phenomena, then it tells me, says Descartes, that there is a thing that does the thinking. And that's how he arrived at what mind. Then from mind, this is level 100 now. From mind, Descartes projects that there must be a powerful being that sustains through my clear and distinct thoughts the ideas that I have. Okay, and then he arrives at the existence of this being God by an ontological argument, and then a somewhat causal one. He arrives at the existence of God. There must be a being that causes those ideas that I have of myself existing. See? So there is the causal one, then there is also an ontological one. He must be to be able to cause. Simply put, if I am deceived, then it means I am weak, I'm imperfect. To understand imperfect presumes that I should know perfect. If I don't know perfect, then I won't be able to know imperfect. Okay. So Descartes' argument was that there must be a perfect being accountable for contrasting my imperfection. Don't worry. Because if I say I am imperfect, imperfect makes sense only because there is perfect. If there is no perfect, there can't be imperfect. Now, with these arguments, what am I doing? I'm trying to help you see where Locke goes wrong, which Kant is pointing out, and then where Locke went right in his epistemology, which Kant is pointing out. Now, who is marking them? Kant. Why does he think he has the audacity to mark those people? Because he solves a problem they couldn't solve. He thinks, and we can see. So he's saying that this is how they were calculating the mass at this place. They didn't do the inverse proportion well. You see, something like that is what Kant is doing. If they did it this way, we would have arrived here, and therefore you could have done the minus and quadratic nuque. Then it would have been so and so. So he said he are doing this way because he inherited this formula from his predecessor. So I'm showing you the pattern very easily. Now, Descartes does that, arrives at the existence of God, and then he says, so far as God is sustaining he, Descartes, that's the thing, that's the thinking, his existence, and is sustaining his clear and distinct thoughts that he has clearly and distinctly, then he can be able to know matter with the same level of certainty that he had for the existence of his mind. You see, this is how Descartes does, and what I'm doing with you is Descartes' rationalism. I just added the argument to establish the existence of God and how that takes us to matter. And then he ends up saying, therefore, there are two realities, a substance dualist. The two realities are mind and matter. One is foundational as mind. That is what he proves, he thinks, with certainty. But matter has conditional certainty. My knowledge of matter, says Descartes, will be like by deduction. You are doing deductive logic now. If P, then Q, and P has happened, then Q follows logically from it. So if I do a valid deduction from the premise, then it will lead me to matter. Take note. That's why that method Descartes uses is highly intuition deduction thesis. The thesis, the way of arriving at truth without the contribution of the senses. How did you do it? You intuit, and that's what Descartes, he intuited his own existence as a mind by his cogito ergo sum, he says. You see that? He intuited that. You just know it. Why? I must exist to do that, to do the doubting that I exist. If I want to doubt my own existence, says Descartes, I have to exist first, then I can doubt that I exist. So I just know that I exist. How? Because even if I wanted to doubt my existence, I have to exist as something to be able to doubt that I exist. So that's intuition. I didn't need the mediation of the senses. I didn't need to rely on the senses to come to that. Okay? From that knowledge of the first substance, mind, remember, I assume that there must be a mind that does the thinking. This is what Hume has a problem with. Do I see mind? No. Do I hear mind? No. Do I touch it? No. I just assume, it's an assumption, that if thinking is going on and doubting is going on, or consciousness, a state of being is going on, then it presumes that there must be that which does the thinking. Hume says, where is that thing? If you are a strict empiricist, you cannot accept that. It is an assumption you make. It is not empirically given. What is not empirically given? The so-called substance. That is what I'm trying to show you, underlining your mental state. You presume it, Mr. Descartes. You don't prove it, empirically speaking, okay? So Hume says, you Locke, this is Hume critiquing his own predecessor and the Citizen Party. Before Kant comes in, Hume tells his master, so to speak, not master, but the one that came, his forebear, that you are an empiricist. This thing you have, this baggage you are going to carry from Descartes is acceptable to Descartes because he has a rationalist tone to his epistemology. So he can say that the mind just knows it by intuition. You are an empiricist. We don't depend on our minds without the help of experience. Please, you see that it is the senses that should feed what you have put in the mind. Here you are assuming things that are not empirically grounded. How can you be a consistent empiricist? So Hume does not only deny the existence of matter, which is a substance supposedly underlying physical phenomena, but he also denies mind as a substance underlying mental phenomena. So when you see substance in the discussion, they are supposedly the underlying reality sustaining physical phenomena for matter and mental phenomena for mind. That works fine for Descartes, who is rationalist. He can give you how that reality exists by telling it's innate, if he likes. He can say it's innate, it's inborn. But you are an empiricist. How do you tell us your basis for claiming that there is a substance underlining my thinking? Why wouldn't you say that thinking is going on? Finished. Why do you say thinking is going on? Then there must be that which thinks. If I ask you what is that thing, you say it's mind. Some say it's spirit. Some say it's soul. There might be nothing. It might just be consciousness moving around. So Hume says it's an assumption you are making which is not empirically grounded. And I hope people can see the point now. I want a reaction from you. Are you following the discussion so far, please?
Yes, please.
Very good. I see the thumbs up on the screen as well. Yo. So I want to build on it a bit more now. And you see that in doing that, we have covered the Descartes' argument for the existence of God. That's how you learn. And we have covered how he arrives at two realities, mind and matter. And we have covered the challenge you can have with his reasoning. There's a secularity in how he's reasoning. This Descartes now, where he thinks that when I, Descartes, I think clearly and distinctly, then I'll be able to arrive at the existence of an all-powerful being who is perfect, because I am imperfect. If I'm imperfect, in is a negation of something. Imperfect, therefore, would not make sense without a conception, an idea of perfection. So I have to know perfection to be able to negate it and say I am imperfect. Therefore, my inability to know everything, the fact that I can be deceived, etc., are imperfections that I have. And if I am imperfect and I know that clearly because I can be deceived, then it suggests all these are what? Mathematical deductions. See, mental work. He was just meditating or tefakon. He didn't do any Bunsen burner, no field work. That's it. He's just sitting and reflecting ideas. If I am imperfect, then there must be perfection. There must be an all-knowing being because I don't know all things. There must be a being that cannot be deceived. If there is an evil demon that can lie to me, then there must be an all good God. You see how? So he does it a contrast, if you like. And this entity or being must exist. It can't just be an abstraction. Because I exist with my imperfection, then there must be an absolute being that exists and doesn't have any flaw. And that being cannot be the evil demon. See how the causal argument comes in. What I just did is the ontological one. Being. It must be for me to be. My imperfection suggests his perfection. Take note. And so his being is what essentially defines this other entity. Very, very magical, so to speak. It's all math, deduction, deductive logic, that's all. Now, he says this being cannot be the cause of deception. Otherwise, it will negate his being perfect, says Descartes. If he's perfect, he cannot be causing imperfection, evil, deception. With deception, one he had alluded to when he was talking about the evil genius. Could it be that 2 + 5 = 7? And I'm being deceived to think that 2 + 5 = 10. If it could, then perhaps an evil demon is doing that. Remember that. So he says that this perfect God cannot be the cause of. So there's a causal argument for the existence of God. He is the cause of my clear and distinct thought. And that is where we see the secularity. Where is the secularity? I am Descartes. I say, if I think clearly and distinctly, it will lead me to the existence of an all-powerful being called God. So my clear and distinct thoughts can lead me to the existence of God. Why should I trust what my clear and distinct thoughts tell me? I must trust it now because God will guarantee its certainty. He will make sure that I'm not deceived about what I thought about the material world. Oh, but I thought God's own being is sustained by my clear and distinct thought. That I know that he exists at all. is as a result of my thinking of it clearly and distinctly. It is a maybe who if I think of it clearly and distinctly, I can establish the existence of God. Then we ask you, but why should we accept the existence of God? Then you say, I think of it clearly and distinctly to know that he exists. You see, why should I trust what I clearly and distinctly think of? You say, oh, God will sustain it. You see the secularity? Please, you understand, or should I repeat it? If you want me to repeat the secularity we see there, I can do it again. Just let me know. Should I repeat it? Okay.
Yes.
So the point is this. If I ask you, should I trust my thoughts? I'm Descartes. Why should I trust? Should I trust my thoughts? Then I say, well, yes, I should trust the things I'm thinking about. Because God will guarantee. Why God? I've already explained to you. He is the one that will lead me. So if I'm thinking clearly about what I'm saying, God will guarantee that knowledge. He will make sure I am not deceived because he's good, he's all powerful, he knows all things, and he will not be the source of deception. So when I'm observing, that is for material substance, he will guarantee its certainty. The thing, he will be the guarantor, the one that will guarantee that, yes, that is a table you are seeing. Yes, this is whatever, okay, material substance. So God will guarantee the clear and distinct thoughts I have. That is why I can rely on what I think about clearly and distinctly, not in dreams or in imaginations any longer, but when I'm thinking about it clearly. He's a rationalist. So if I reflectively engage a matter, I can have some clarity that will have some a priori certainty to it. How do I know that God will guarantee it? Now, how do we know that God exists for him to guarantee our clear and distinct thought? This is a question that Descartes has to answer. Then he says, oh, if we think clearly and distinctly, we will know that God exists. But how will we trust our clear and distinct thought? You say, oh, God will sustain the truth of that clear and distinct. Do you see it now? So if you ask me, how does God exist? I think I thought about it clearly and distinctly. So I know that God exists through my clear and distinct thought. Now, when I ask you, why should I trust my clear and distinct thought? Then you say, oh, God will guarantee my clear and distinct. But God himself, we are establishing his existence by appealing to our clear and distinct thoughts. Now you say that for us to trust that clear and distinct thought, we should depend on the same God, no, who we are now proving from our clear and distinct thought. We should use God to now guarantee our clear and distinct thought. I hope you can see the secularity now.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Very good. So it's secular. It's just like saying the Bible is the word of God. And Christians don't get worked up here. I'm a Christian as well. The Bible is the word of God. And I ask you, why should I believe what the Bible says? And you say, oh, it's the word of God. And I say, but I don't trust. Why should I believe that God exists? They say, oh, but the Bible says God exists. But is this Bible that we are trying to establish its authenticity, that you say it is God's word, so we should love it? Then I tell you, why should I trust that there is God, you see, who is authenticating the Bible? Then you tell me that, oh, there is God, because the Bible says so. But I thought that we were trying to find out why we should believe the Bible. That is the secularity I'm pointing at. It's the same thing. I'm sure someone will say, hey, doc. So right now, how do we tell people God? The person doesn't believe in the Bible, he doesn't believe in the Bible. So if you go and use that as your reference point, unbelievable, to show him why he must believe that God exists, you will never win the person. Oh yeah. Because what you are quoting, he thinks it's some historical text, some colonialist weapon that they used to blind all of you. Suppose the person thinks that way. How will you use that same thing to lead him to God? Look at how Jesus did his ministry. You will see. Because the person doesn't share your point of view. He thinks the Bible is some local. So use something that the person can regulate and pray. That's all. Some people, it will take some sickness. God will give them some massacres. Did you see Pharaoh? When the guy comes to say, God says, let the people go. He said, with God. There's only one God, and it's Ra. Yeah. He said, God says, which God? He sees the sun and the moon. He says, I'm God that doesn't have a name. What is his name? He says, I am that I am. Do you know why? Because he cannot relate with that. I'm trying to show you. So back to our secularity. I use the Bible and God thing to show you the secularity there. Don't use circles. It won't convict. When the person doesn't share the belief, the person is a believer that has backslidden. Or there are some, they have fear of God in them. At least he believes that the Bible is the word of God. Then they'll be you open the Bible and you open it and explain. But if the person doesn't share it as an authority text religiously, it won't budge. Ask the person, the sea has been boiling all these years. Have you asked who is finding the water under that body there? That one has nothing to do with whether the person believes in God or he can see the sea. You have been walking when you buy your shoe and you walk with it. The under shoe area I can't say bro. I want to help those who speak plenty bro. Hey, you don't know. Your shoe has never weighed. How do you say it? You are laughing at me. Emanuela, you have worked with your shoe. When you work with your shoe, the shoe, that's what? The shoe,
The cues.
The soul wears out.
Thank you,
The
Planet
shoe
Bro. The guy went to GIS. Not those of us who went to look what. The shoe wears off. But check, has your leg, your foot ever worn off? Think about it. Don't wear shoe. Those who don't wear shoe, they walk from one place to the other. Does it wear off until it gets to your knee? Then it is wearing off. The number of years you wear, it never wears off. But when you buy the shoe, no matter how, shoe before long, part is wearing off. Look at the sky. It has never fallen down. Whichever pillars God used, it's a ceramic tile, so there you can't tell whichever pillars, concrete, and how did they put it together. It has been hanging up there. The sky has never fallen down. So if I'm speaking to someone that I want to show, perhaps, that there has to be, this argument I'm giving is the cosmological argument, or you can even talk of it as there's also the teleological, more teleological than the cosmological one. You see it, hopefully, when you make it to level 400. See, you are trying to make the person see. We are still doing Canto. Follow me steadily so that you see what is happening. Helping the person see it from a point of view that he or she can relate with. Then you drag them kakra. Says we say the kingdom of heaven is like a farmer that went to sow. You think he's crazy? He was called a good teacher because he's teaching in a way that you can relate. You can participate in it. So why am I talking plenty Bible? Because I used the secularity going on there. I used Bible and the so-called existence of God argument. That argument that people make is secular. If you're a logician or a critical mind, don't run away from it under the guise of don't speak. Oh, this is blasphemy. It's a lie. You don't have an answer. You're saying blasphemy. The thing is secular. God exists. Why should I believe that? The Bible says so. But the Bible is not anything to take serious. Hey, the Bible is a serious thing. What is it? It's the word of God. But God himself, I don't know whether he exists or he doesn't. That is the atheist. Give me reason to believe it. You are pointing to the Bible. Then I say, why should I trust the Bible? This colonialist, no way. He said, oh, don't say that. The Bible is the word of God. You are not helping yourself and the person. You're going in circles. The secularity is tautology. It's a redundancy, remember. It's like saying A is A. He said nothing, it still can't. So we use other things, and that is what Descartes is doing. I wanted you to see it. There's secularity in the way he's reasoning for the existence of God. By saying that when I think clearly and distinctly about anything at all, God will guarantee its truth. God will be the guarantor. Now maybe has a bear no because God doesn't deceive. Then we say, But how do we know that there is a God to guarantee a clear and distinct thought? They say, oh, when you think clearly and distinctly, you will know that God exists. So whilst I'm thinking clearly and distinctly, who is guaranteeing it? Because I'm now going to think clearly and distinctly to arrive at the existence of God. But you have already told me that whilst thinking clearly and distinctly, God is guaranteeing it. But I'm now going to prove that he exists. You see that? So we are going in circles. And I think at this stage, it is very clear. Those two are hidden in Descartes' challenge. But from that, he says, because God will sustain my knowledge of the material world, I can know that matter also exists with certainty. But this certainty is what? A derived one. Like the way if P, then Q. P has happened, therefore Q will follow. It is by deduction. You deduce that conclusion from the premises. Now, all this sounds so fine, eh? Yeah. We have seen some problems, yeah? Yeah. But people adopted, and we all do now, that there can't be only matter. There is something beyond matter. And both of them are substances, realities, entities. So the state of being is only the state of being of a material substance. So when I'm seeing, I'm feeling a bite, mosquito bee is biting me, I feel it. It's a physical state, so to speak. Oh, or when I'm eating, I'm enjoying the meal, it's a physical state. So physical phenomena. Then there is mental phenomena. That one, Hume, take note, understands, accepts that there is a phenomenon I'm seeing, it is going on. But when you tell me there is a substance, you are assuming it that substance is the one doing the seeing called matter. Where is matter? If you tell me there is a substance that is doing the thinking or doubting or affirming, where is that substance? Okay, that is Hume's skepticism. So strict, and I explained the causality one. I repeated it last week. I'm doing a lot of last week today because of the recording that didn't go. Okay, this time we have clear network. How do I say that there is a necessary connection between a certain antecedent, factor and an effect? How do I claim necessity for causal connections? He says it is just a matter of contingency and it often happens. So you presume that this one led to that. There might not be any causal connection. And I used a lot of examples to explain that. Otherwise, anytime a woman and a man do chakum chakum, you know chakum chakum? Yeah, you don't know, you're all in the spirit, you're fasting. Anytime they do that, they must get pregnant. You like this, I know you don't know. My sister, you don't know. Elena, please, I need AC here. The place is hot. Look, anytime they do chakum chakum, they must give birth. Do you know how many chakum chakum your mommy and your daddy have done before you were born? So Hume's argument is there isn't any necessary connection between a supposed antecedent effect and an effect. In other words, what you say is the cause and the effect. And that is what he meant by what? There is no necessity for causality. So these two words, you see them in the context a lot. And I wanted to give you a background. There are others, the 10 others that Kant references. But these two are the key ones that created problems, big problems. Because if there is nothing beyond the phenomena, no reality. That Descartes has called substance. There's no substance. Then what are we fighting over? You see the implications? There is no life after death. There is no this. There is no morality. Everything is reduced. If there is no causal connection, then how do you say that it is the slap from the guy that made the sister's eye go blind? I have taken him away to hospital. There's no necessary connection. You say, well, how do you know that it was my slap? I was going to die already. Maybe this. There won't be justice. There can't be law. There can't be society. It's very problematic. So Kant now looks at Locke, who has inherited a baggage without questioning from Descartes. Maybe Descartes was right. For him, he's rationalist, so he can defend it. He says, I already know, either innately or I intuited and deduced. But Locke doesn't have the capacity through his empiricist means to ground causality and substance in such a priori concept that we seem to know them for certain without the help of the senses. And yet, we cannot figure them out using the senses. We know that they are there necessarily. So there is necessity to these concepts, but we are unable to use senses to prove them. This is what makes Hume. So look at Hume's own, and then I'll come back to Locke. Hume denies them. My lady, it was not that read. Nancy, do you want to read? Now be on standby in case Nancy's network is not good. Then I'll come back to you. Nancy, please read from Hume on the other hand. Hey, where has Nancy gone to? My sister? Okay, go ahead.
Hume, on the other hand, correctly saw that such concepts, necessary and universal, could not be derived from sense experience, or mistakenly denied that they are, after all, necessary and universal.
This is Hume's only wahala. He got some part correct and some part wrong because he correctly accepts that, look, such necessity and universality associated with this concept of causality and substance, they are necessarily the case. They are universally the case. But that's necessity and universality, says Hume. I don't see them through senses. The senses don't give them to me. I don't see a necessary connection between one event and the other for me to say the one caused the other. I don't see it. I don't experience it. I don't hear it. I don't touch it. I just assume it. So Hume accepts that this universality, these necessary concepts cannot be given to us by the senses. He correctly detected that these things are not products of experience. See, that one is correct. I'm going to ask you, see how much time I've spent on this? Maybe some more. I will ask you. So I beg you, when I have the answer, why? Hume correctly detected that this product doesn't give us X, Y, Z. In other words, the senses experience doesn't show us necessity and universality of concepts like substance and causality. The senses doesn't give us that information. And he's an empiricist. You see the unfortunate thing, because the senses put together as one, is not able to give us that knowledge. Hume therefore denied. He said then those knowledge don't exist. A. Now you're too know answer. If you're too know, is that your push? Because your channel of acquiring knowledge couldn't give you that kind of knowledge you're looking for. You conclude that then it is not there. Uza, your investigative team used all the methods available to them to check the fingerprint to tell if it is Nancy's fingerprint or it is Chanel's own. Then your mechanism that you are using couldn't detect it. So you claim that then there is no fingerprint. That's arrogance. You're too low. Your system might not have the capacity to detect it. Doesn't mean it is not there. That is Hume's problem. So he didn't, just like some people can't fathom, how is it that there is an omniscient, all-knowing, all-powerful God everywhere at once? He's with us now. We are learning. He's at America helping the deportees. He's with Trump, tapping his back that Charlie, you are doing well, but take it slow. One man, one being, so to speak, he's everywhere at once. Their minds cannot fathom it. We are getting towards transcendental idealism. So they deny that if I can't think about it, he be here and be there and be here everywhere at once. It doesn't make sense. So they end by saying, therefore, there isn't any sad God. That is what Hume is doing. And Kant says, Wafa, stop the tuno. You may be right that our experience doesn't grant us these a priori concepts, which seem to be necessary and universally applicable everywhere. They are being applied everywhere. And the senses is not the one giving us that knowledge. You are correct there. But where you are so wrong is you're therefore concluding that they don't exist. You can't use your little eyes and legs, and we human beings collectively can't use experience to discover such a priori concept. So we should conclude that they don't exist. That is your error, says Kant. I hope everyone got Hume now, right? If you understood Hume, say Hume.
Hume.
Okay, this
Hume.
is what my idea. Everyone who said Hume will get an A. I said say Hume, you say it.
Hume.
Very good. I just want you to be happy. Hume, yes. You can, you can say Hume in the spirit. And I won't hear, but I know you've said it. Now, so you know Hume, you know what Kant's problem was with him, and how Kant thinks that where they went wrong and why it led to the negation of such a priori concepts of knowledge. Now, what about Locke? Back to Locke. Kant tells Locke that he did fine. Sister, please read it for me. Thank you, Nancy. Let's have a Akanji. Akanji, please read for me, okay? And I can now be on standby. You and Nancy, your lines are clear. Then we'll go back to Chanel too. Akanji, your hand is up. Please unmute and please read Locke again. I want you to understand. Then we are done. Hey, Akanji, my rice is becoming cold. Hurry up, I want to eat. Okay, if Akanji is not ready, let's take Emmanuel lines here. Ella, go ahead. Oh, please, you are all muted, so you will have to unmute first. Emanuela, go ahead.
Locke, for what of this reflection, and because he met with pure concepts of the understanding in experience, derived from them also from experience, and yet acts of knowledge which far exceeds all limits of experience. David Hume saw that in order to be able to do this.
Please don't add him. Why are you reading? Oh, you read the down part. I was asking you, sorry. I wanted you to repeat what your colleague read earlier at the top there. Okay, so Locke correctly recognized this is an it's expanding on what you have said already. Go on, sister.
Correctly recognize the existence of Locke correctly recognized the existence of pure concepts, but mistakenly sought them for sense experience and at the same time applied them beyond sense experience.
Well, hold on.
For every event must have a cause.
Thank you. Let me explain. Sister, it's okay. But I right. Thank you. Let's take it 1-1. As for him, we know his wahala. The senses didn't show him. And to be a consistent empiricist, he concluded by saying, then they don't exist. Very arrogantly, we think. And it made him skeptical about the existence of such concepts, including God and moral claims, whether they have any objective truth. It's just how we think we want to, it's just the phenomena. We can decide it. And that's how he treats such concepts. But what about Locke? Then we are done. Locke correctly recognized the existence of pure and universal concepts. As soon as you see that, put in your mind causality, substance. There are some of them. Okay? He correctly recognized that these substances, these concepts exist, and they exist necessarily universally. Okay, so they are a priori concepts. That is the correct thing he did. He accepted that they exist, but he sought for their existence from sense experience. He wanted to use the senses to establish what? Causality, to establish necessity of substance. How can you prove empirically that it is the slap I gave to the sister that made her fall down and die? It's an assumption you make. Yes. How can you establish, empirically speaking, that when I put the seed in the soil, then it germinated? Do you know how many seeds have been put into the soil that are not germinating? That is why science is searching and researching. If we had attained certainty with empirical knowledge, there was nothing else to go and research. What are you going to search again? So if you want to go and look for such certainty of concepts like causality in the experience, you are using experience to do it. You will search and search and search and you can get anything. I'm repeating the same thing, don't worry. You won't find it. But can you imagine that Locke says he has used experience? When you do empiricism, you see it will come alive, the things I'm saying. He says, oh, Aquinas and others say, oh, we extract them by induction. We arrive. We know the problem with induction. Anytime the class gather at so and so side of the place there, it rains. Another day, the class will gather there, it won't rain. There is no certainty because it's empirically grounded. It's contingent. So if you go looking for it with experience, that you want the information to come through your eyes or your ears or your mouth, or you will do wagadre azan. You do azan deduction. It won't be a deduction, it will be an induction. This is what Kant is telling Locke, that you have done well, that you admit that there are such universal and necessary concepts. Okay, that is a good job. But you're seeking for it from experience is what will frustrate your effort. You're looking for such necessary concepts empirically. You do some magic to arrive at it, which Hume sees through and tells you is a lie. I'm your friend in the same party, but this thing is illegal. You are lying. You see that? So Hume critiques his own friend, who are both empiricists, and tells him there is no empirically grounded basis for such concepts. Okay. Locke was trying to use senses to do that, he claims. Okay. That's what Madame read first. So concepts, but mistakenly, John Bravo to Madiano, but mistakenly sought them from sense experience. That's the first problem with Locke. Look at the other half, your friends read it. 3 people have read the same thing. And at the same time, you said you found the thing from experience. Yet, at the same time, he applied them beyond sense experience. The principle of causality, the principle of substance, he's applying the same concept that he claims he sought from experience. He applies it beyond experience. How? He makes a case for the existence of God, for example. God, who is a transcendent being, we are going to transcendental ideas. God is not within the frame of the experience. But he applies such principles of causality to concepts like God, makes a case for his existence. To concepts like what? Where is it? Free will. Did we add that? I think it's every event must have a cause. He argues that God is the ultimate cause of the world. Johnny Bravo. If you do that, we'll ask you then what caused the causer of the world? Then you'll be hot. Because you are going to talk God as the ultimate cause. If you do that, we will ask them what caused the causer and what caused the causer's causer. And what do you know what we are doing? We are applying the principle of causality to a transcendent being. And we won't have answers. Because if it's the physical world and we want to insist that the principles are here, then we will say, what caused the slap? We say she insulted. What caused the insult? He didn't give chop money. What caused the chop money not coming? Another didn't pay on time. Or Jomama didn't pay on time. What caused the not paying on time? IMF. We can go on and on in the physical world and find it. If you apply it outside of the phenomenal world, this is Kant's language now. I hope you are following, please. You are applying a phenomenal concept to a nominal world. You will have this challenge. And Kant says that is what was happening to Locke. Correctly accepting necessity and universality of concepts, but applying, but finding them in a very limited world of experience, which doesn't have the capacity to see, experience that concept. Yet applying those concepts beyond the experiential world is his problem. If you got that, then you see how Kant's a priori categories of the understanding, together with his argument for the a priori concepts of what? Experience. What are the a priori concepts of experience? I took my time so that you remember. What are they? A priori conditions of experience. I want a chorus answer. What are the a priori conditions of experience, please? A, adversely.
Being specific.
What and what, please? We have read it all more than 30 times. Nobody knows in the class. I'm waiting on. A priori conditions of experience. Nobody knows.
Being specific.
No, please. Thank you very much. That is not that one. Let's go to page 202.
Doc,
Hey, how would you have answered?
Space, time, and causality.
Time and space.
Space and time. Causality is a priori category of the understanding. That one is inside your head, is mind. Mind that contributes that. A priori, let's read that one very quickly. We are done. So let's read that and then I'll tell you the transcendental idealism. I need now please you can read for me now. Now I'm 10 to 202. Page 202. We have read it already, but when we go forward then we come back. It helps for mopping up nicely. Please read, as we already have seen, read very well, like you do always. Quickly, please. If now is not there, Esther, where are you? Are you there?
Please,
Esther
I'm
read
here.
it last week, I think. Go ahead. Thank you. As you already have seen.
As we already have seen, Kant answered the question of synthetic a priori knowledge with a resounding yes, but his explanation is hardly what traditional rationalists would have expected or accepted. Kant turned the epistemological world upside down. In fact, he likened his contribution to the Copernican revolution, which, by radically shifting our viewpoint, which is the sun does not go around the earth, but the earth goes around the sun, resulted immediately in a superior explanation of the phenomena to be explained. Kant's Copernican revolution consisted, similarly, in the startling announcement that ideas such as substance and causality do not make their way into our minds through experience, but are a priori categories of the understanding, which mold and shape, and in fact, constitute our experience.
Please pause for a
is-
minute. So everyone,
Yes,
have you seen that? The rationalists would have said that concepts like causality, substance, are ideas that have been innately placed in our mind. That's one of the arguments by rationalists, innate concept thesis, innate knowledge thesis. Don't forget, it's the same course. Okay? They would have said, we just know it innately. We have an idea of God already. God teaches a child who God is. It's already there. Substance, reality, they're all already there. Others who are also rationalists may not argue innate for innate ideas, but they might say we just intuited it and we deduced it purely without the infiltration of the senses. Kant is agreeing that there are such concepts that constitute a priori truth, which are not analytic. They are still synthetic. So he accepts that there are synthetic truths that have a priori certainty. And the rationalist is happy with that. But look at how he explains it. He doesn't say they are ideas that are already there. He doesn't appeal to any innateness. What does he say? He says these concepts are a priori, not because they are already hidden there. The a prioriness is not about what is already there. It is in how we experience. Experience is for the empiricists. So seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, smelling. when we are seeing, the process of seeing employs the a priori categories of the understanding. Understanding is just another word for mind, the faculty of mind. So when my eyes is seeing, it is actually hinged, the process of seeing is hinged on the a priori-ness of my mind. My mind is categorized in a certain way. It is as if I'm wearing blue shades. So my eyes is seeing, but it sees through a certain categorization that mind contributes. I hope that helps. That is why everything I'll be seeing is my eye that is doing the seeing experience, yes? But it is seen through a spectrum, through a structure, through a categorization. Where does that one come from? Mind. That is how the mind is categorized. It's called the a priori categories of the understanding. We haven't gone to the conditions of experience yet. That's space and time. We haven't gotten there yet. You're looking at the a priori categories of our understanding. Says Kant, in this phenomenal world, we see through the thinking of space and time. So when I'm experiencing, it's not my eyes alone working. That's all Kant is saying. My seeing is influenced by how my mind thinks. My tasting is influenced by how my mind tastes. So Sister Reddy, she says, substance and causality don't enter my mind through experience. It's not empirically fed into my mind. So that goes against what the empiricist says. And it is not already inside my mind. It's not a thing that is inside anyway. It is how the object doing the seeing is structured. Think of your phone. It's not that when you bought the phone, there was information inside it already. No. Then you would have said, delete all the information inside the phone and let me have a free phone. Then you can delete it. This one is not deletable. It is how the phone operates. This is what Kant is saying. Very ingenious, smart. So he says, that is why you know that the thing is there, but you can't detect it because in experiencing it, you're already using that thing. So you don't use experience to find something that experience uses to experience. When you are going to use your experience, you're seeing, hearing, touching, to see it, it would have already been used. What you want to go and see would already have been used by experience before you can even see at all. So it is the way we experience. That's what we read. We experience things using the a priori categories of the understanding. They are in the mind. Finally, I want to repeat it again. If you are wearing a blue shade, spectacles, when you see, your eyes will be seeing, but it will be seen through that shade. That is why the one wearing a red colored, whatever, shades will be seeing red things. It is because the eye see through something. That thing that the eye see through is the eye sees through the mind's structuring, the mind's categorization. I just hope that this one helps you. So he says, substance and causality are, along with 10 other additional categories. I'm reading page 202, continuing from where Madam read, are part of what we mean by experience. I'm experience. It may see, when I say I'm seeing, mind is at work with my eyes. Mind contributing the categories of the understanding, my eyes observing, picking the experiential sense. And you see why every knowledge, therefore, will have to begin with experience, says Kant. Whenever I claim I know, experience has to do the sparking. It's experience that sparks knowledge. But the origin of what I know, the source of it is not just experience. It is a mixture of a synthesization, a middle line. See what Madame read earlier, of mind and senses at work. But you can never claim to know knowledge without beginning the process with some sort of what? Experience. I will quote that and ask you to explain and use practical illustrations to make the point that
Kant makes. And why? I mean, imagine at the law court, I'm sure I would have said that to you. You tell me that I am convinced, you are counsel, you say, I'm convinced that this guy killed the man. We ask you, what is your reason for saying that? You say, oh, the Holy Spirit is ministering to me. Hey, how can we take you serious? We may all be people of faith, but even God says, let the spirit in you testify with my spirit. We need evidence because I may have eaten, or the demons may be talking to me, I don't know. But if I showed you a picture of the man holding a knife, stabbing someone, it will be the beginning of knowledge. You see that? We'll start now investigating, could it be a true picture or it has been done, because experience, what we are seeing, hearing, touching, tasting, or smelling, starts the process of knowing. It doesn't mean the reality, what really killed the person, is part of the knowledge necessarily. We may never know it. But we cannot trust what experience is not sparking, because we don't know whether you are overeating or something. I'm trying to show you the straddling point. So reality, the nominal, the thing in itself, is not the same as the thing as it appears to us. What appears to us is knowledge. We can do all the checks, make sure are you sure I've done the labs well? Do it again. What have you? They do it and say, it's still negative. Then the doctor will say, from what we know, you can't give birth. You see that? Could it be that really she can give birth? Yes, it could. Kant says it could. There's the nominal. But we may never know that one. Nay. Don't say that because we don't know how you can give birth with such fibroids. Therefore, you conclude that you can never give birth. That is what Hume did. Because it is not given in sensation, which is experience. He concludes that we cannot know that, so that thing doesn't exist. Kant says that's arrogance. Then he turns to Locke. You also claim that if she can give birth, the senses must be able to give us evidence of that. And you kept searching from the senses. You can't find it. Or when you find it, even if what you are finding through the senses don't speak to the reality, you presume that it is this. Hey, I don't know, you are eating too much, that's why you can't give birth. Maybe there is a reality beyond that you haven't discovered. You are forcing the senses to tell you something that it cannot do. That's Locke. What is Kant? Kant says, as people in a phenomenal world, we will have to do the science, do the labs, check the eating habit, do exercise, do some operation and see if the fibroids will go. They are all within the frame of the knowledgeable, sensory. But as you do that, understand that there may be a reality beyond that, which is not given to us in sensation. And we need to give ourselves time and hopefully work to see if we can bring it from the nominal to the phenomenal. But we may never be able to know it. If it is knowledge, senses must play the starting role. But we have to be conscious that there might be the nominal, that is the reality, which hasn't come to light yet. It is a more modest position that allows for further search. So a patient might say, please, doc, as you do the hospital sense, the science, I want to go back home and check traditional medication to NC. And I've asked my family folks to pray with me. Don't sit there and say that prayer. But this is not a prayer matter. Charlie, let's just do the who told you? It could be a prayer matter that you don't know. That might be the reality that hasn't been uncovered, which you shouldn't throw out because it is not within your frame. Because you are looking at things only from what experience contributes to you in a phenomenal world. That is what Kant is saying. If all this it sounded abstract, that is the content I put to it. So what? So in conclusion, Kant says, when it comes to matters that are outside of the phenomenal, how do we know that? Concepts that seem to be necessarily the case, seems to be universally applicable, and yet the senses don't give us that knowledge directly. We presume them or assume them. He says,
we should treat them with what? Caution. Be an idealist when it comes to transcendent matters. That means, who is an idealist? How I know it, me, how I see it, how it presents to me, is what I take to be the reality. I have to allow the other person's view of it to be his reality. Until we are able to pull it out of the nominal into the phenomenal, you can't impose yours on any other person because you don't know how the person sees. In Nebuchadnezzar was seeing hands writing on the wall. Saul of Tarsus was hearing voices. If he were here this evening, you would say that the guy is crazy about them. There's nothing here. He says he's saying this. Are you the one? There may be something he's saying, you don't see it. Or there may be nothing. Who knows? So you cannot impose the phenomena, which is objectively given to you and I, that is knowledge, onto the noumena, which is now unraveling itself. And it includes concepts like God, faith. You see that? Morality. He thinks we should use another type of reason to approach that. It's not theoretical reason, but practical reason to do that and have a transcendental idealist posturing. When you are transcending the phenomena, treat it with what? An idealist posture. Because it is not the one that we can measure. It's not like 2 + 3 = 4. Then we go and take measurement and measure. No. When you're dealing with concepts like God. So don't go and apply causality and substance to these because they don't lend themselves to what? That level of objectivity. But should we throw them away? No, don't. Why? Because we may uncover them and bring them into the phenomena. They may be there, really. We may not know who really killed the MP. But the evidence may be pointing to person A or B. What should we do? If we do all the thorough checks and all the evidence is pointing to person A, what should the lawyer or judge do? The judge cannot go and live in 10 years ago and find a room and enter there and see who killed. He or she would have to do with the knowledge, the evidence, the experienceable. See that? Knowing very well the difference, but knowing that this truth is not originating from only the experience and making it open the possibility that there could be a reality that hasn't been uncovered yet. Can't you see that Trump has opened old documents of people that were assassinated also in the past, presidents and what have you, those who follow world news? What is he going to do now? Could there be a reality that had not been uncovered? We wouldn't go searching for that if we go the way Locke and his predecessor Hume had done. And on that note, I am done. We'll do 2 reads and then I can get ready for my how many number of classes for today. Let's read. I want us to cover everything. So we were on, Madam, what you went to read was only to help people remember. So the a priori conditions of experience are the last part. Maybe you should read that 2 to the second half, after you showed us the categories of the understanding, which is inside my head, understanding. There is another a priori condition that is outside there for experience. Sister, read that, the second part. Page 202, that is substance and causality. Miss Na, have you seen it?
Yes, please.
Please read it very quickly. I have to move to central cafeteria. Go ahead.
Substance and causality. Doc, please, is it a synthetic a priori or?
We are at 202, page 202. Are you there?
Hello, Doc.
Are you at page 202, my lady?
Please.
Are you at page
Yes,
202?
please.
You read the Copernican revolution to
yes.
help us remember the a priori categories of the understanding. Okay, I want you to continue
yes,
from
please.
there. I asked the question and people couldn't answer, so I've taken us back a bit. So please read from there.
Right.
Which mode and shape
please,
and in
continuing.
fact constitute our experience? Yes, continue from there. That is. Yeah, ready.
That is substance and causality. Substance and causality, that is, along with 10 additional categories, are part of what we mean by experience.
Continue,
Indeed,
please.
even space and time, in which substances standing in causal relations are enabled to appear at all, are contributed by our intellect. Space and time, too, therefore, are a priori conditions of experience.
Can you see that, everyone?
In this
Space
way,
and time are a priori conditions of experience. Share the difference, you know. One is categories of the understanding mind, rationalism. The other one is conditions of experience. When I'm seeing and hearing, the conditions that allow me to see is out there, experience it. So table is existing in space and time. That is why it is seeable at all. If the table doesn't exist in space and in time, if it's not locatable in space and time, you won't even see it. But the space and time that allows table to exist at all for you to see it and say you are an empiricist, that space and time is not seeable. So he gives you two things. Kant gives you two things. A priori categories of the understanding, the way the mind is categorized. And then a priori conditions that allow for experience, conditions that allow you to experience. Experience is not understanding. Experience is the senses at work out there. Understanding is your mind inside. So when I am experiencing is two in one. My mind's categorization has concepts that are a priori operating there. My eyes seeing is dependent on space and time. That's what I have. So the a priori conditions of experience is space and time. The a priori categories of the understanding are what? Causality, substance, and the 10 others I asked you to read and find. Very good. Now, the one that you read it fine. So we know what Kant's problem was with Hume, and his problem was with Locke, and how that landed us in an albatross. Everything looked useless. Now read 210. Read 210. I think now I may be tired. There's another Nancy whose hand is up. Is it Nancy Owusu? Apart from Nancy Benini. Read the limits of reason, page 210. It is important to note. That's where we end. Very good idea. Oh, fast. Who is there, please? Read there. Sorry, Mr. I'm tired of, yeah. I've been working since 6:30, back to back. Why?
It is important to note, however, what price must be paid for synthetic a priori knowledge. It is a very high price. One of the implications of Kant's analysis.
Sorry, Nancy, somebody's background is very noisy. This will not be helpful to a special student. I want a very quiet Gabby. Oh, something is moving. I suspect it's my lady Nancy's thing. So let's, Emanuela, can you read? Manuela and Ella. I see quite a number of hands, but I don't have too much time. I'm not driving today. It takes me a while to move.
Yes, please.
Go ahead, Ella. Thank you, Nancy. Let's take Ella, okay? Oh, Nancy, is it clear? Talk again and let me see.
Yeah.
Hold on, Emanuela.
No,
It's better now, right? Okay, let's take Nancy's, to be fair. Why? Emanuela, thank you very much. Let's take Nancy. Nancy, go on.
Okay, so the limits of reason. It is important to note, however, what price must be paid for synthetic a priori knowledge. It is a very high price. One of the implications of Kant's analysis is that we can know nothing of reality as it is in itself, that is, what Kant calls a nominal world, but only as it appears to us through experience. Thus, he calls this the phenomenal world. The reason is clear. The a priori categories of concepts of the understanding are, as we have said, constitutive of our experience, and therefore they have no legitimate application beyond experience. Causality, for example, applies only to objects of possible experience. And when we try to apply such concepts beyond experience, what results is nonsense and absurdities.
Let me just chip in a word there. So we have said all this already. I hope you can see it. So when you go asking who gave birth to God, you are applying the principle of causality, which is just how we experience. And experience is only possible in the experiential world, phenomenal world. But you're going to ask the same question of a transcendent reality. It won't make sense. Why are you applying rules that work in Ghana to America, so to speak, and something like that? That is what you'll be doing. In this experiential world, we think and see and reflect in space and time. We think and speak in terms of causality. That is for the experiential world, where we, limited you and I, see the limit of reason. That's how much our limited reason can work. So if I come and you are crying in the room, my first inclination will be, what happened? Who did it? I'm trying to find the cause. When I'm trying to get my money from ATM and it's not coming, I say, what is causing it? Why is it that this network is doing this? Why are you asking why? Because that's how your mind thinks in the experiential world. Cause and effect. Substance, there must be something underneath this. The underlying factor, something is causing this. So substance and causality. It is operational in the experiential world because we are experiential beings. And when we are experiencing, we are using those concepts. Those concepts operate in the experiential world, finito. Now you go and you want to apply it beyond experience, outside of the frame of experience. You ask the judge, you judge, how do you know who really killed the boy that you are going to pass sentence? What should the judge do? Become a omnipotent and omniscient? He cannot do that. He's an experiential being. What is put before him, argued for, thoroughly searched and researched, is what he can be accountable for. The reality of it may never be known. Okay, so we end up giving up. This is the sacrifice we have to make. When you come and claim that you know what God has told you, even the people of Berea knew better. They will go and search again and search. They want a witness within themselves and the scriptures, because you may be wrong. The thing is in itself bad here, you may never know it. So we sacrifice the claim that we know transcendent things in itself. We sacrifice that claim of knowledge. We may never know it. That's what Kant calls the nominal. But the phenomenal one is knowable. That is what begins with experience and see. So I think that the second paragraph is showing where you will find that. Let's do 211. Our critical deduction. Then I'm done. 211, the second paragraph. Our critical deduction by no means excludes things of that sort.
Our critical deduction by no means excludes things of that sort, nomina, but rather limits the principles of the aesthetic to this, that they shall not extend to all things, as everything would then be turned into mere appearance, but that they shall hold good only of objects of possible experience. Hereby, then, beings of the understanding are granted, but with the inculcation of this rule, which admits of no exception, that we neither know nor can know anything at all definite.
Continue, is correct. Of these pure
Know
beings.
anything at all definite of these pure beings of the understanding, because our pure concept of the understanding as well as our pure intuitions extend to nothing but objects of possible experience, consequently to mere things of sense. And as soon as we leave the sphere, these concepts retain no meaning whatever.
What you read earlier is what has been written in King James Version here for you. That that the nominal, the reality of it, we cannot pretend to know it. But how it presents itself to us in the possible experience, in the world of the experience, is what is knowable. So whenever we are knowing, and I end with that, knowledge, it will always begin the process of knowing will, it's like the switch in your room. If you want electricity light you have to switch it on. The iron has all the potency. The cables on the wall have knowledge, but for it to constitute accessible content, knowledge to you, you have to switch it on. When you switch on the plug, the process of knowing, either you saw it, that's what the switching on is, or you heard it, or you touched, or you tasted. It is like switching on what is already in the system. Okay, so the process of knowing begins with experience. It's experience that starts it. But the origin it is not just experience, says Kant. A priori concept mixed up with your seeing constitute experience. So everything is experience, as the empiricist argues. But everything is inspired by a priori concept, as the rationalists argue. That is what Kantian position is. And so I've given you practical use from hospital to church to politics. I've shown you how rationalism, empiricism, seeming contention is bordered on a misunderstanding, according to Kant, of what it means to experience and how experience even takes place at all. That it is not devoid of a priori concepts. And yet those a priori concepts are not experienceable because they are part of the process of experiencing. So you can't find the thing that finds things by using the thing that finds itself to find itself. How do you do it? The eye that you use to go and see so that you can tell whether the thing is there or not. When I want to see the seeing of my eye seeing things. What kind of question would that be? That is what Kant is saying. If I try to see my eyes seeing of things, it won't be possible because as soon as I see, it is the eye that is seeing that I want to see with. That is what is doing the seeing. So experiencing includes using those concepts. So if you want to see this concept, it will be difficult. As soon as I start seeing the concept at work, how do they see themselves seeing something? That is the problem. In Kant's sense, so you should be at peace. It's a Hume that you don't see causality, that you don't see what's the other one, substance, because they are not simple. But are they useless? No. Are they not there? They are there. They are in the process of seeing. And that is why we can't think of just pure empiricism or pure rationalism. I will see the two. So we started the course with what rationalism properly understood is, the versions of the rationalist thesis, went ahead to discuss Plato's rationalism, found key things that makes him a rationalist. We started with Descartes a bit, and we have beefed it up to see what about his philosophy makes him rationalist and which of the rationalist stones will associate with him. Then we have gone further to see, epistemic foundationalism, skepticism, analytic, synthetic, a priori, a posteriori. All those were raw materials to help us understand Kant and how he makes a case for the possibility of synthetic a priori-ness, which therefore suggests that if you do empiricism, God willing, next semester, you may find some questions for the empiricists wearing your Kantian spectacles. 3 essay questions, 20 marks each, 2.5 hours at most, to give you 60 marks. To add to your IA 20 marks, that's 80. Your assignments, presentations, take sheets of paper in class, +1, +2, moderation, etc., all totaling an additional 20 marks. You should do fine. I am done. Thank you very much. Any questions? Let me lower these hands. Thank you, those who read for me. I'll find you in the world of forms and reward you. If you have any questions for me, let me lower the hands now. Okay, so I look. Who is laughing over there? Alicia, I was ready. Okay, so if you have a petty, thank you, Emanuela. Thank you, I appreciate that. If you have a very pertinent question, I can take 1 or 2 and run out. I've hijacked an office and I'm keeping my student waiting, but all well and good.
You're right.
You two, you waited. Sorry, please. Please ask your question again.
Oh, no.
No, it's not late. I was asking how you're going to eat your rice since you have a class like in the 4
Me, do I
minutes.
eat anything? My way chicken, when I was teaching I chew 2 chicken, I'm going to put it down after class. Then the children will be on my neck. Then I'll find time to eat something. Thank you for carrying it. I'll give you +1 in the world of phones. Right.
Yeah. Oh.
All right. All right. Thank you all very much and take care. I'll still be on your platform. I'll be glad to attend to queries if they come in until finally your exam day. Okay. Take care and attend tutorials. If there is any concern, please prompt. We are glad to help you. All the best. Take care. Thank you for your patience today. Thank you all very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.